Welcome everyone. I'm thankful for your today's being present, and I'd like to open up our third day of the Jornada Estudiantil of reconocimiento humana. And today we have another critical issue. We are talking about eradicating the violence against women. I'd like to thank two special women that are today here, Raquel Duran and Liliana Ortiz, that just because it's because of them that we're able to do all these kinds of things. And I'm also thankful for your presence. And as coordinator of today's event, I'd like to start with our first presentation, with our first TED Talk. It's called Yishin, and our two speakers are Pamela Franco and Hector Guzman. I'd like for them to take the stage.
Thank you and welcome to Yishin. So, what is Yishin? Yishin is a vital method to, um, well, it is necessary for us to learning to identify psychological violence, and also it guarantees us to a great impact in our self-esteem and self-confidence. So, next, what happens if we don't learn to identify psychological violence? Well, this is the cycle of violence. How could you break it, and what and which are the phases? So the first one is the tension phase, in which all the problems are starting to appear. The second one is the crisis phase, where everyone wants to escape from this because it is the most tension phase of all of it. And the third one is the calm phase, where the person you fall in love returns back to you, and you feel like everything is going well. So break the cycle of violence with Jishin. Well, our first case of uh, success is with Nicole Kidman, which she was a woman who escaped like psychological violence, which started off a deal, idol, and last with physical abuse. Well, she says violence against women is a shocking violation of human rights. However, it is not inevitable. Next, our strategy.
Well, the bad case of this is caused by two steps. The first one is the self-esteem is reduced. This is caused because following article of the NAM that says that the victim self-esteem reduced because they think they can make decisions by their own, and then it pressure to say to the couple to make decisions by the person that need to make their own decisions. Then is the mental health reduced? That's because, like Vasquez Institute of Women says that when when a couple suffer violence and bad attitudes in a short period, then experiment a short period from love and attention. This cause extremely anxiety. Following the case of April Lee Hernandez, that is a famous actor that suffered violence in the relationship during 3 years. Like all the people, she was shamed, and that can make to her to share the experience of that with the people. But one day she take the courage to escape from that place and start to improve in her own life.
So
So our first step is called traffic traffic light. This is to make the couple think twice about the situation of the relationship and start thinking if the relationship. This is following a test made by the UNAM and UNESCO that consider in 15 questions, and I score from that for all the answers. If you answer yes, that there are 3 points. Sometimes 2 points, rarely 1 point, and never 0 points. And then you have the following scores. To 26 to 35 points, reach out for help. 16 to 25, you are being abused. 6 to 15, establish boundaries. To 0 to 5, no abusive relationship.
So our last two steps are next to it. So After that, if we identify violence, we need to attend to a professional to start taking care of our self-esteem, our self-value, and not letting ourselves to become a victim. So we need to cut all the relationship that we have with our abuser, and that's how we end with these steps.
Like a conclusion for this, is important to make conscience in the relations and start thinking if they are being abused, or only can that change with talking with the couple, or needs a professional help from experts like psychologists or psychiatrists in the case, and the like, yeah, the case of the relation. Thanks for your attention.
Well, thank you, Hector and Pamela. Next up, we have Juan Carlos Mendoza and Fatima Hernandez with structural chatter.
Fatima Hernandez. And to start with this conference, I want to ask you how many of you have passed through a situation where you change your perspective on something in a radical way? I want you to tell about my experience. It was 2020, and I was getting into my classroom. It was a very happy day because at the night I was going to be in the concert of my favorite band. But then something passed to classrooms on the left that changed my perspective on relationships. For this, I want you to close your eyes and imagine and recreate this scene with me.
Te odio. Solo eres un muchacho que me hizo reír en una fiesta y ahora detesto tu presencia.
Ya basta de eso.
Es más, si te acercas a mí e intentas tocarme, gritaré de inmediato.
¡Muérete junto con tu odio!
¿Qué vas a hacer ahora? ¿Vas a golpearme? ¿Pero estoy actuando? ¿Me amas?
¡Descuida! ¡Nunca me molestaría! ¡No vale la pena lo que costaría hacerlo! ¡Eres una esposa que está vacía, que no tiene sentimientos!
So since that day, I changed my perspective in what relationships and the problems between a couple are. So since that day, and talking with Fatima, we decided to create a strategy to prevent this that is called
Structural charter. So there's the things that happen if you don't form and maintain a relationship without aggressive behavior. The first thing is the psychological and physical damage. According to investigation done by Claudia Carolina, when the romance and rationality of a relationship loses his course, it can be seen as aggressive behaviors, both physical and psychological. And we can see that in data of INEGI of 2021 that shows that 40% of the women in that year in Mexico have suffered some kind of violence, and the psychological violence is the kind of violence that the women have suffered more, just followed by the sexual and physical. But not all is bad. We can show you some success stories, just as the famous actors Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, of the famous soccer players Cristiano Ronaldo and his wife Georgina, and Lionel Messi and his wife Antonella, that are known as a couple with a healthy relationship with great communication and had not suffered some kind of violence during his relationship.
So, in what consists our strategy? The step number one is the part that we call reflection. In this part, we ask the couple to make, in an individual way, a list of aspects or things that they don't like from past relationships. For example, here we ask a couple of our friends, and here decided to put couple with more social than me, not feeling at the level of my partner, and covering the insecurities are friendship with the ex couple and friendship with women who do not respect the distance. And him put older couple with more experience, college couple and high school, older sweethearts, couple with many male friends, and the actual insecurities are many male friends and the insecurity that we do not care enough for each other.
The step two is the common denominator. Now that you both done your list, you have to do another one, a new one, with the things that you found in common that you can do, and you can work on that to make better the relationship. In this case, we found that the things that they have in common is the couple more social than they. The friendships with, in this case, with her, the friendships with women who do not respect, and the distance, that they are the same as him, but are similar, and they can work on that to make better the relationship.
So, step three, the talk. What do the couple has to do in this step? Well, as the name says, the talk is discuss between the couple these points that they have that they find common, and then express to the woman or to the man what does these aspects makes them feel. For example, if in that part the woman doesn't like that or has insecurity that the man has a lot of woman friends, she has to ask the man, I don't like this because it makes me feel insecure, or something like that. In this way, we reach this point that they both know what happens in the mind or in the heart of the other person.
The last step is the agreement. Now that you've done your personal list, your common list, and that you talk, you have to make an agreement when you both compromise themselves to work on the things that you write on that list to make the relation better, and just to put as priority the well-being of both.
So, what we can conclude from this strategy, since this experience that I have at 2020, I think that this strategy is useful for the couples, because many times we get into a relationship without knowing what does the other person has passed in other relationships, the reasons why they broke, the reasons why they feel insecure, or maybe the reasons why they don't feel comfortable with themselves. So we recommend to all of you here that if you are going to get into a relationship, the structural charter is mainly the first step that you must have if you are secure and you are comfortable of having a relationship with the other person. Thank you.
Next up, we have Remaining Roles, A Path Towards a More Just World by Sofia Trejo Valdovinos.
Please give her a warm welcome.
I consider myself a strong and empowerment woman. But the other day I saw a video that made me know that most men are not attracted by this. I was looking for videos on TikTok and it showed to me a video of a man that said that women who are empowerment and have their own business is not attractive to men. Honestly, it gets me quite mad since, as I have said, I think I'm powerful. Talking with a friend of this, we came to that conclusion that many of these comments come from a ground of abandonment. I personally think that we all have to start to work on ourselves. But first, I want to start telling a story. The other day, I was in a cafeteria and I heard a woman who said that she go to a date and she didn't feel quite comfortable because a man didn't want to go. The man didn't want to still be in the date with her because she had their own business. So she started questioning herself if she had to make this narrative smaller so they don't feel the persons around her uncomfortable. I think this is an idea that hurts us all, men and women. Men, men, women, because we say to ourselves that we have to start telling a narrative that is smaller, that is smaller, that is smaller than the ones we have. And for men, because we promote this idea of gender roles that men have to be the only one in relationships, who have to be brave and to have courage. In fact, in 370 minutes that the household activities spent are made by women. On the other hand, 313 minutes are done by men. This is a great difference, and household cares are the ones that have the most amplitude in terms of gender roles. There is a program. Well, first, imagine a world where men don't have to hide what they feel. Actually, there is a article in the magazine of Psychology Today that is named "The Rise of the Lonely Man," that said that men don't want to have a monogamous and marriage relationship because they are afraid of being fragile and show their emotions to their counterpart. So they don't want to show their feelings to their female or the other partner. I think this is an idea that is quite sad because we have reduced the role of a man to just being a man, not a person who has emotional conditions like everyone in this world. And women, well, we have reduced them to the fact that they have only to be women And by this, I mean the gender roles that the society has still present in these days. But I was looking for, and I saw a now 4-year-old program that is called the Voices of Brotherhood, created by Ricardo Rivera. That is a program that promotes mental health and promotes also masculinity as a secure form by showing their emotions. I think if we do this, um, if we take this, I have created my strategy that is remaining in roles, a path to a world free of gender roles. This is one of the testimonies of this program that I have been looking for, and my strategy is based on this program. But if we want to eradicate this problem, we must have to be thinking, how can I do this? Well, the first step is to recognize our problem. How can we do this? Well, I will say the exercise of take a sheet of paper as I have done here. And then we will draw a stain every time we say or hear a comment about gender roles. These are all the black spots we can see in this human. And then we will write the phrase said or heard. And then we will come to a reflection. I didn't write the phrases because I think they are personal, but we come to a reflection. This phrase said what actually did in the other person. Actually, the article magazine writer Valeria Zavarate said that the hurtful comments that we said to other people are actually things that come from insecurities and that we haven't resolved with ourselves. So, to avoid these insecurities and stop making gender roles comments, we will write a heart, but every time a person says about something good about us, or we will feel proud about something that we said. After this, we will make a comparisons. The things I am proud of and the things that I have said come from different places, but the things I have said comes from insecurities. But if our third step is to decree, and if we decree we are valuable, we will probably stop making comments that come from insecurity. All these insecurities come from a thing that is called grounds of abandonment. Grounds of abandonment are things that we didn't work in our childhood, mostly because absence of a parent. But these grounds of abandonment, we have to work them down. So the next step is to recognize them, and then there is no other option for this than to ask for help. Maybe go through therapy or start talking to a person about what we feel and what makes me feel valuable. After all this, we know why we are valuable because of the exercise that we have done, but we also have to decree that we are valuable, because if we don't say it, we don't believe it, and to say it is to accept. Finally, we need to ask ourselves, what do I have to work on me? Because that we are valuable, it doesn't mean that we are perfect. So all of us have things to work on ourselves to become a better person of you. Finally, there is no woman activities or there is no men activities. There are only people activities. I invite you to consider your roles, to stop assigning people and putting them labels, but also to start reflecting on ourselves and work on our insecurities, so there is no need to assign or judge any person. Thank you.
Thank you. So next up we have Strong Women, Strong Societies by Irlanda Jimenez. So
Give her a round of applause. And we would also like to know if someone in the crowd has any questions. Is there anything you would like to know?
So if anybody in the YouTube live or in the Facebook live, please start coming in if you have any questions, so that we can answer them in some minutes.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Irlanda Jimenez, and today I'm going to talk about the empowerment for women. Empowerment, economic and social, of women is a fundamental concept to promote the gender equality. Strong women, strong societies helps. It's the better option to promote this gender equality because it's helpful to strengthening their economy, social development. This idea contributes to the construction of an equal and just society. One thing that can pass if this gender equality and this empowerment of the women doesn't um, achieve is the fewer opportunities for the representation of leadership roles. In this case, we have two difficult stories. The first one is from Ellen Pau. She has this problem with her boss. In 2015, he assumed him for two close opportunities for her just for to be a woman. Then we have Hillary Clinton. The things that he passes through her political career was the sexism and critical thinking about why a woman can be part of the political themes in United States. Another thing that could pass if this empowerment of women and doesn't achieve is less economic and social development. The first case is Oprah Winfrey. When she was little, she suffered of sexual abuse. Despite this bad story, she with her light and with her love, um, yes, with her simple person, she became the most one of the most follower female role for the all the world. Then we have J.K. Rowling. She was when she was little, she doesn't have many resources, but when she discovered her passion, he make a lot of money with her books. Now, talking about the good things that can pass if this empowerment of women success is the increased family income. Many many families, many women are the base of economic financial for her families. If we don't have this empowerment for women, we don't know we can they cannot afford this economical financial for her families. Then we have create greater political participation and decision making. Um, Talking about Hillary Clinton, she was, I think, in my personal thinking, is a person that I admire so much because it's like She suffered a lot of things in her political candidate, and she success in different ways. Now talking about a strong woman, in my idea, my idea has 4 steps. The first one is the promotion of work family balance. Promotion of work family balance. This idea is talking about distribute the task in the house, not only all the tasks that women do have to do to the women. In my family, we distribute the tasks, like my brothers wash the dishes, and not only my mom or I. Um, this idea is like you can make your list and you put all the things that your mom or your sisters or you make, and you can distribute it in all your family members. The second one is to create a space for the women to to let them know their different like things that they can sell, like a bazaar. This one is to help to increase their economies and to show all the world, all many people, all the things that they are doing. The third one is about a lounge. Um, this is an idea that I made to create a website where all the women can upload their projects. So many different women can like say, oh, I like this project, and I will contact to this woman that are the author of this idea, and I can sell this idea to many people. um, in conclusion, I want you to reflect how the empowerment of women is very important to these days, because we can give you many things, like I already tell you. Um, to all the women, you can do anything you want, and no one can tell you no. Thank you.
Thanks. We would like to ask to everyone in the live stream if they can keep asking any question they have, so that when we have our break and let all the speakers know, they can answer all of the questions you have. So next up we have Andrea Carvajal talking about no, sir.
Her speech is going to be talk about Higgling, support networks for women on Instagram. So please go ahead and give her a warm welcome.
supportive networks for women on Instagram. You know, a few weeks ago, I was scrolling on Instagram. You know, I was bored in class, I was falling asleep. I said, Instagram, my solution. Don't do that. And then I found a profile. It was about gossip. And I said, okay, I will see what it's about. I enter. And then I discovered kind of vicious comments. All of posts were about girls around 15, 17 years. I know these girls. I know who they are. And they are more than this. So, as Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. And my dream, it's about supportive networks where women and girls can feel safe, can feel accepted as they are without any fear. Well, in my presentation, there are three parts. The first part is about what will happen if we continue the same. The second part is about what will happen if we decide to change. And the third part is about my solution. Well, you know, if we continue this way, two things will happen. The first one, it's a fact. You know, this guy from a university here in Mexico took some photos from his classmates, his female classmates, and then used the artificial intelligence to change the photos into something kind of different. It was on the news, and I ask you, is this the world that we want? Thankfully, he's now in jail. But, you know, it can continue with this situation. The second point to treat is about what happened with the victims. Well, three things can happen. They are affected in a mental, physical, and psychological way. It can be presented as fear, frightened, and they can even feel angry. And your body will reflect this by general pain, headache, insomnia, fatigue, and all of that. So, I have another question for you. What will happen if we decide to change? If we decide to use Instagram as an instrument to create a safe place, a safe place? Well, I have excellent examples for this. This first slide is about excellent profiles from Mexican women. And you can see it's Women's on Fire, Telar de Lunas, y Luchadoras.mx. They are even more, but these are the ones that I love, that I personally love. And it's not only in Mexico, it's a thing that it's in all the world. And you can see it. They are in English, in Spanish, even here. I have one that it's on Italian, and it could be adapted to every culture and every religion, as the one that is for Muslims girls. So why Hegel? It's not something that already exists. Well, Hegel it's more than the students made content for students. And I want to propose a tech week. This will consist in 5 steps, each one for each day. On Monday, it will be all about investigation, about concepts, definitions of violence, cyberbullying, and the ones that are connected to them. Also,
personally have to search a case so they can analyze it about on all the week. Okay, on Tuesday they will have to make teams and they will analyze all the cases that the team has. So they can select one to treat it all the week. Then we have on Wednesday when they have to design to create an idea for the content on Instagram. Um, this can be a post, and a story, or a reel. On on Thursday, yes, all of these results are going to be uploaded. After they are uploaded, um, every team or every person as they want, they will can ask to treat a team in special, or if they have some doubts, they can also add it to a list that will be created on Thursday. And on Friday, it's going to be a discussion between all the class about, as I said, the doubts, their fears, or maybe just they want to talk about it, and it's okay. So, this is my proposal. And I want to conclude with what is Heilig. Wait, well, not what it is, because I already told you, but what it means. Heilig, it's a word from Danish, and it means to feel comfortable, to feel good in a place, especially with friends. So this is what we that I want that social media can be, because social media it's to meet with friends that maybe you can see in person but you can see in a virtual way. So thank you very much. This is my project.
Okay, so now we'll go to our question section. So if anybody in the public has any questions, please think them out. Or meanwhile, I will start with the ones that we have online. So first of all, for Fatima and Juan Carlos, we have two questions. The first one is, what happens when someone it's not doesn't want to change, even though there's love between.
Well, what was the question?
What happens when someone's not willing to change, even though there's love in between them?
Okay, I think that the base of a relationship, and we say clearly in our talk, it's a talk between the couple and ask what they do not being comfortable. And for example, if one of the components of the couple doesn't want to change, we think that the best scenario is um, to broke that relationship and start working on looking for a person that wants to adapt to the relation, to the insecurities and all the situations that are making that this relationship could be better.
Thank you. And well, we have another question for you. It's, how can I work in my insecurities?
Uh, well, um, how can you work on your insecurities?
Well, you have to start to just think what makes you feel like that and why. And for that for that analysis that you've done of your person, you can start of doing just little actions every day that can help you to work on that insecurities and make you feel better on yourself, and on that you can form a healthy relationship.
Thank you. We have two more questions. One is for Sofia, and the other one is for Andrea. Can you please come here? First, Sofia, this question was asked by Monse Murcia. How can we teach our little brother or sister about affective responsibility and gender roles?
As I have mentioned, many of these come from grants of abandonment. The first thing we have to recognize in our brothers or sisters is what these grants are, and start convince them to go to therapy or talk to me, in this case, if I was their sister, about this, so we can start looking for a solution and not make labels of gender roles and work on these insecurities at the same time.
Thank you. Now, Andrea, Arturo Rosas asked, this one is for Andrea. What if I know a person who needs help, but the person doesn't have Instagram?
Well, it's more than I don't have Instagram. As you know, Instagram is also connected to Facebook, so if they have Facebook, they can use it. Or if they need help, you can show them. You can be like a connection between that, so they can feel your presence as a friend. You know that they are helped, that they are with persons who are aware of their situation. So if she has Instagram or not, it's not a barrier between this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Also, we would like to ask anyone in the present public if they have any question, any doubt to any of the speakers, so we can make them come down and answer your questions. No? Okay, thanks. So we will continue. And for everyone in the live stream, feel free to keep asking any question you might have for the different speakers.
So, well, next up we have Daniel Montalvo with Stereotype Shatter, the Breeding Differences. Please give him a warm welcome.
Well, so to start, I would like to start with a say. Don't judge a book by its cover. Stereotype shatter is based on stereotypes. Stereotype is something we've all heard, we've all know it exists, and I believe, as they say, which obviously we've all heard, don't judge a book by its cover, something we've all heard, something we're very familiar with, and it basically tells us that we shouldn't judge anyone that we don't know. We should know the person, and then we can make kind of assumptions. We can try to decipherate the person, but without knowing them, without knowing them, we can't really say anything about them. And well, they say, I mentioned it, and I want you to think about it because it's very much related to the topic in hand, which is, well, stereotypes. What are stereotypes? Well, stereotypes basically are behaviors that society has put on each gender, that how we should behave based on if we're born men or women. There's also many spectrums on that, but we're not talking about that. So we're gonna center in men and women, and in this case, well, these stereotypes tells us how to behave, how we should perceive our lives. We all heard things like, well, something basic like pink is a color for women, or blue is a color for men, and this is something truly basic. This is something very, oh, it doesn't show any importance really, but it extends itself. It also tends to tell us what to study, how we should behave with the other sex, how we should talk, how we should think. And basically, it kind of reprimands us if we don't behave like that, because we're not supposed to behave like that. A woman is not supposed to be aggressive. A man is not supposed to be passive. We're not supposed to be, I don't know, we're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to behave in a weak way. And women are, well, the contrary. These are behaviors that we perceive as feminine or masculine, and based on that, we see the person. So it kind of, it's present throughout our lives, especially in Mexico, which is a very male society, male-based society. Women have been judged by these stereotypes almost all their lives, and well, it shouldn't be like that. So we may think it doesn't affect us that much. This is a topic that we've treated for many years as a society, and that we're very familiar with. And we may think it's not that detrimental to our society. We may think that it's like, I don't believe that. I don't think women should behave one way or men should behave another way, but we kind of do, because although we have made advances in these topics, the topic have evolved with it. It's been made more subtle, so we don't really know it's happening. We don't really know. We think that way, but we do. And well, how does this affect us, specifically as students? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we may think that this is something from the past, but according to a study made by the Universidad Autónoma de Chihuahua, on this very year, these behaviors are still very, very present, especially on our universities. Women have testified in this study that they found very difficult to study something that's male focused, that something like engineering, something like all those topics, that all those careers that are seen as, well, as male careers. Women find very, very difficult to adapt to this, because, well, they're not seen as part of the career, not entirely. There's problems in the groups, there's problems with the professors, there's problem with, well, almost everyone in the university, because there's still many stereotypes about these careers, about what we shall study based only on, well, our sex, and that's something that affects us negatively, and that has persisted to this day. So this is something that, yeah, it does affect us. And it also affects men. Men find it also difficult to adapt to careers that are more perceived as feminine. And also they find it very difficult to adapt to this environment, because it's very different. And also we see it, as I mentioned, in groups, even in careers that are more like every gender, and that there's no really a problem. In the groups, we see that each sex is like segregated. We see groups of men with men only, and we see groups of women with women only. Yeah, there's exceptions, but it still persists. We still judge by the sex, and there's nothing wrong with having friends. There's nothing wrong with being with them in your classes. But there's a problem when you assume that you won't work well with another that's the other sex. It's a stereotype, and it affects us because it takes us the opportunity to meet someone new, and it takes the opportunity to accept something in our professional careers. We don't know them. We don't know how they work. Maybe you know them further in. You know them better after working with them. Maybe he becomes your friend. Maybe he becomes a great partner to work with, and you choose him in a different class. But you don't know that, and you will know because you assume that because she's a woman or he's a man. Well, I won't work with him. Well, I mean, it doesn't understand me. So how do we solve this? Well, I've made a four-step uh, program that can help us to identify these behaviors and eliminate them to make a more, let's say, less segregated career for us or environment in our schools or well, universities. The first step is self look into ourselves. Okay, basically, we need to find these behaviors in ourselves because we have them. We think like that. I mean, we may think we don't, but I'm sure many of you, maybe not all, but many of you, assume that because the other person is of one sex, you won't work with it, or you shouldn't because why? So we need to identify these behaviors. We need to think about them. We need to think about what we say, how we think, and basically how we perceive this gender thing in order to identify the problems we have in our behavior. Our second step would be investigating. We need to know what after we identify what's wrong with ourselves in this matter, we also need to find out more about it, how this affects us, how it's possible that these behaviors have survived with this time and with the society we all live in today, and we need to investigate more. That's our second step. We need to know more about the topic in order to understand it completely. The third step would be discuss it. We need to discuss these matters. Maybe try to do it in a relaxed way because we don't want to make our dinner table a war zone. Because these topics are sensible and these topics are sensitive, and we need to approach them in a relatively calm way. And but discussing it with our parents, with our friends, can help us take more idea of what we need to change. Finally, we need to stop doing it. We need to take action. We can work with many associations. We can see that there's many programs that are trying to eliminate these behaviors, and we need to approach to them in order to change things. Because even if we change individually, it doesn't solve the fact that there's many of these topics still persisting in the world, and we need to change them. So that would be it. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Breaking the Glass Ceiling, Gender Parity on the Boards of Student Groups by Camila Hernandez Castillo.
Please give her a round of applause.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Camila Hernandez, and there's some things that I am going to present during all these, like, TED Talk, because it's important to talk about these things instead of only having them on paper, and that's like the main thing that I'm going to abord in this conversation. I'm a student of law here in the Tecnológico de Monterrey, and sometimes I have failed. Like I have the system against me, Even though I am in a private institution, even though I am a privileged woman, I have privilege, like not like the majority of women in all the country. But even though I still have some little rocks that are in my path, for example, that all my teachers are, the most of my teachers are men, and most of them, they don't let me speak, or they don't let me like talk as I want. And even though I am going to talk about student groups, I want to talk like in the general, like in a general panorama, and then bring it to the student groups here in our school. We know that here in Mexico we have certain problems with with the gender parity. Uh, since 2014, the authorities have like legal, like in they have put in paper in the constitution that the parity of gender is something obligatory for any candidatures that the women or the can be for president, for governors, etc. Even though it's in paper, we have had a lot of problems on uh, letting women being in representative positions, not only in the country, not only in the states, and not only in every uh, like in every location here in Mexico. We also have these type of problems, and we can have this type of rocks that are in our path, and that's the rocks that we have to break, the ceiling, the glass ceiling that we have, the women above us, and that they don't let us like have a really good representation, not only on the country. I mean, here also here in our school, we have had a lot of problems with the representation in our student groups. I don't know if you know, but we have a lot of groups of different objectives, of interest, of competence, and also of representative. So if we only put on paper in the rules of the Federation of Students that we have here on our school, what does that guarantee us that we are going to have the correct representation of women of um, in this type of charges? I mean, we are a big community, not only here in our campus, but as the community of the Tech of Monterrey, we need to have a really good representation in these type of groups. I don't know if here or wherever you are listening to me, I don't know what career you are, but I don't know if you know who are like the people who represent you in the school on your career. How how much, and as a woman, you feel represented in this type of of um, of groups or exercises that the school tries to give us. We have to learn to be part of a big community and to have presence in any of those type of things. So I have like an strategy, but I don't know how this is like a strategy that have a lot of question marks, because this is something that everyone has to be involved. Because what we need to have a similar representation in this type of groups, we needed to have in paper in our rules, in our I don't know if you know, but every time that any student wants to postulate to to a place in the Federation of Students, or in a student group, they have to have capacitations. Those capacitations are provided by another members of the Federation of Students.
So what I suggest is that we have to make conscience to these groups that they are representing the students here in the community for giving them this principle has to be obligatory, the principle of gender equality, because if they apply them to their plans, to their projects that have for all the semester or the next semester or all the year, they can apply them to make activities that can help us to give us the representation that we need. But now we are talking about that this can have certain like disadvantages, because one, if we don't have like a conscience of which are the people that are representing us, how we are going to know how to like complain about those things. I think that most of the people, or the problem of these kind of exercises, is that people don't want to participate because they don't believe that the authorities or the institutions can have like a really good result about these things. But what we have to do as all the community, as students, as I don't know if you're active or not in the activities of a school, we have to open our voice to for having the representative the representative that we need. But what happens if us as women have like a system that it's this thing that is the glass ceiling that we have above us? If we notice those things in a little group of people, in a community that is small, and the most of us have a lot of privilege, how this is going to work in the general things? I mean, I think that I am kind of like mixing these two, like two circles that are the general part and the part that happens here in our school. But I think that it's important to know that if we are not conscious about the privilege that we have as women in an institution that can give us opportunities of represent us, of having like a space in this type of leadership programs, how can we change the things for the next generations, or for us that we are having the opportunity to study, to give to plant them when we are going to in the future? Because it's something that sometimes we don't have like conscience about, and not only conscious, sometimes we're afraid of like speaking up during doing this right now and talking about this right now, even two people are watching, or you are watching here that are present. It's having like some kind of of opportunity to talk about this thing and to question us. And I want you to have that question, like, is it enough to have in paper that we need to have 50-50 in our representative groups, or we need to do something more as a society to eradicate this like culture of that women cannot be in public charges? Or we need to follow or we need to put it in the rules for them, because the system always functions with rules. So I want you to have like that reflection about if we need to do it ourselves, or we need to put it in a paper that give us the power to do that thing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And next up, we have Ariadna Nuqueño with it's just for this gender.
Give her a round of applause.
When I was learning to be a scientific, I was born with a curiosity or want to know about specific things. I really enjoy to learn about physics, chemistry, technology, among others. Good morning. My name is Ariadna Luqueña, and I am a student of chemical engineering. And I am part of the 30% of women that study an engineering degree in Mexico. About 10 years ago, I received one of the comments that today I remember perfectly. The comment was very bad. The comment was, do you want to be a scientific? Do you know that the best scientific are men, right? Do you know that the competition in science is dominated by men? Ariadna, you have to work so hard to be able to study something about engineering or science. That was a comment that a man told me when I was only 8 years old. And fortunately, I am blessed to have a family that always support me about my goals or my dreams. A family that showed me that if I have the dream, if my dream was the crisis in the world, I look for the craziest way to achieve it. But unfortunately, there are some women that don't have that support. This is why I create this movement called "It's Yours for This Gender." Was born, focuses on inform students here in Tecnológico de Monterrey about the inequality in the workplace and academic environment that exists between men and women, and how it helps raise awareness and eradicate discriminatory attitudes between men and women. In addition, this movement is yours for this gender reveals strategies to confront injustice within different work fields and academic competition. But it said you that you couldn't be because you were a woman. In my case, a man told me that I can be scientific because I was born like a woman. Now, I like to ask you the next question to everybody. What will happen if gender inequality in the workplace and academic field continues? In my opinion, we'll be following a wrong culture based on sexism. Here is an important fact. Do you know that according to reports from Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ACLAC, they indicate that the most countries in the region, women occupy a lower position of management and executive positions compared to men. This gap in representation reflects a culture based of gender inequality that limits women access to leadership position and therefore the ability to influence decision making and organization culture. But in the other hand, I'm going to ask you the next question. What will happen if gender inequality in the workplace and academic fields is eradicated? Well, I think that the position of women is developed within their work and academic fields. And not only that, a culture basis of gender inequality will be eradicated. According to the latest forecast from the World Economic Forum, WEF, the Nordic countries are in the top 5 position of the list of countries with the smallest gender gap in this report. In specific, the country Iceland is the first place, being the country with the greatest gender equality in the world. In specific, with a score with 0.9%, where like one is full poverty. Why is this? Why Iceland do to achieve that? Iceland progress can be attributed to women and men sharing the power with each other as a decision makers, and gradually having more men supporting the gender equality exchange. But that's why I decided to create my strategy. Based on 2 steps. The first one, we implement a day of the importance of women in science. It will be on November 10. On this day, recreational and awareness raising activities will be developed, where reflection on the importance of women in science, in technology, in engineering will be the key for this day. As a second step, we have reflective thoughts that will be implemented for all students here in TEC. In this step, in the second step, we are going to use the online blog called "A Professional Has No Gender." This blog has different sections, as you can see. We have a section specific in concentration of questions, events calendar, psychology help for everybody, like women, students, even men. And we have a people directory where psychology can help you with whatever problem or discriminatory act that you have. Also, we have a section about learning and development community. And as final, we have a section where you can find the global news. I mean, the global news about importance women in science, in technology, among others. It is important to create that support network, that support blog, online blog, so that together we can continue with this daily fight. Since no one deserves to suffer inequality for the simple fact of being born as a woman. I would like to ask the following question. What did they tell you was only for men? In my case, I dreamed to be a student in the area of engineering or science, and they told me that it was only for men. That was a men thing. Nowadays, I know that it was a wrong comment, a bad comment, and actually, I am a student of chemical engineering, and I am so proud of that because I am part of that 30% of women who study an engineering degree here in Mexico, our country. You could receive so many comments like, you are very ambitious. How many of us have not been told that? I mean, it's not exactly as a compliment, you know? We are breaking, actually, we are breaking like with social norms of behavior by being demanding women, being lady, strong, intense women, by being women who do not conform. We have to continue that. We will continue to do it, no matter how uncomfortable that this generates. Finally, remember, it's not just for the one gender. A profession has no gender. My name is Ariadna Luqueño, and thank you so much for your attention.
Next up, we have Without Getting Stuck, Assertive Communication by Ruby Roybal Larios.
And well, also we would like to still encourage our public to still send questions and to think of some if you have anybody here in the present public.
Thank you.
Well, good morning. I'm Rui, and I'm going to present without getting stuck. So this is a strategy that I developed. Well, no, it's a strategy that I'm going to develop a healthy and stable family relationships, and guarantee a respectful upbringings and a better society. Well, so this comes from because we as a persons can we develop ourselves emotionally unstable and with family breakdowns, and this because if we live in a toxic ambient in our family, or we grow and listening offensive comments to ourselves, pues we grow in this way. We can't being happy, and as we grow we can decide well, I don't want to be more in this situation, and I don't want to hear that, and just going to I'm not going to talk to my parents. I'm not going to tell them nothing. I'm just going exist in this family now. And at the other side, if we can get free from this situation, we can grow without a family breakdowns. And why? Because I'm the more or the most support that we have is our family, because we live with them. And if we have these breakdowns, it can be more difficult the life for us, no? So if we can get free from this situation, we can be happier. And I make this strategy because I'm sure that here we in the person public, at least one of you have these family issues, and this made that we can't be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And well, my strategy is with 4 steps. So step number 1, it's called peace and relax. That it's about that each person, each of us, have to accept and understand that any of this situation is our fault, and our parents are not in that way because of us. It's because in the way that they grow, or because they have I don't know, problems at the job, or personal problems that we obviously don't know. So we have to understand this, and we can get free from these thoughts that maybe it's for me, or why this happens to me or something. So we have to express our thoughts, and a good way to make them, a good technique, is to write it, or maybe drawing, or tell to someone, I don't know, something that make you feel that you are getting free from these feelings. And here I have a pic that it's really that really shows now how do this technique works. So we have we are full of feelings, and if we write it, or the way you feel comfortable to get free of them, we can be much more chill, and we can thought better. And this is, and well, according to many psychologists and articles, this is a good technique that we can get free from this bad thought that didn't let us be like our best. Well, step number 2 is called learn assertive communication. So learn how to communicate our feelings and our thoughts in a assertive way to expose the topic that we don't feel like comfortable or we feel bad because of the comments that we receive. And we can do this expose it, but without being offended and avoid fights. So our parents or the person that you live with these issues can understand us, and we can achieve to make them empathize with us. Este, so, but without offensive comments, that it's our goal, no? So I have like a small example how you can do this. You can like, I don't know, in the situation that you pass, you can then like, okay, what happened, what they tell me, why I answer, and then like thinking of that with calm mind, what do I like to tell them, and you can do something like that, or yes, writing just not to forget it. And then like at this we are just going to do it for ourselves, and we can then go to the first step, that is conversation that no one wants, that it's basically go maybe with this or with a prepared speech. We're going to basically apply the communication that we learned before, so we can achieve this empathy. And well, this step is always like super important to keep calm and avoid in the most possible way the fights, because if no, all the things that we do before are going to be like useless. Are going to be like not for something. But at here, well, is where you are going to tell everything, but in a assertive way, no, in a way that you are going to attack the other person or like that. It's like to keep calm and try to achieve this empathize, because this is like the key at this strategy. And then the here I at this point, if we are like in this last step, it's because the both of the parts, maybe me and my parents or me and the other person, are like in the same channel. Both parts are like willing to change. Both parts are understand the situation and can do something, no? And here is where the relationship are going to improve. So we can go and now at this, if we like both parts willing to improve this relationship, we can, I don't know, maybe go to family therapy or something to make them like in a more professional way and guarantee that it's going to be for something, no? And here is where the changes are going to happen. And well, here is very important that we have to stay constant to don't stop going to therapy, because if no, maybe it could pass a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months. But if we stop to going to this, or we stop like in to stop wanting to improve this relationship, it is going to be for something we have lost over time, because we are going to lose everything that we do if we don't be constant with this. And well, here is why you can finish, and that's it.
Now to finish, we have lastly Shihon model gender equality in sport. Speaker Miguel Ángel Pérez Narvarte. Please give him a round of applause and please keep asking questions or if you have any doubt, feel free to ask.
This will be our last TED Talk. So, well, after this, we will have our second round of questions, as Bruno said, and that would be all. So, please.
Hello, welcome everyone to my presentation, Xion. My name is Miguel Perez, and today I'm going to talk about how we can achieve gender equality in sports. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about a situation. This is a hypothetical case. Imagine you're in a situation where you have a sport that you love, that you practice every day, that you really want to get to a professional level. So you practice every day, you focus on your mistakes, get help, and see how can you do better. And you meet a person that does the same, that works as hard as you, that gets the same attention to the sport and wants to have the same objectives that you have, but somehow that person gets better opportunities than you do and somehow has a better future. How would you feel? Well, sadly, that's the reality of many women in sports as of now. So today, this is the content of the talk that I will present to you. Is an organization that will help achieve gender equality in sports, and that is the contents of today's talk. So first of all, I want to start with a phrase that to me is very important because I believe that we are a generation of change. We will have the power and a new viewpoint, and we're going to change the world. I believe that we are the generation that has the initiative to change the things that we think that are wrong. So first, some cases of when there's no equality. Sadly, these are situations that happen more often than not. And the first case is obviously the pay gap that exists in sports. Here I put a statement between the MLS, which is the Major League Soccer, the professional soccer league in the United States, and the National Women's Soccer League, the professional female league in the US. So as you can see, the pay gap is very big. An average male salary is $410,000, whereas some female average salary is $28,000. It's crazy. It's nearly 20 times as much. So this is something that we have to eradicate. And the main argument that people may present when talking about these pay gap differences is that female sports don't often raise the same revenue as men's sports does. So here is the next situation, which is related to this, where I think this is the main problem. There is nearly no media coverage of female sports. Here is a statement that I found that is that from 1989 to 2019, the media coverage of female sports has only increased by 0.5%, which is a crazy little amount. And also, I would like to point out these images that I present in here, where you can see these are Sports Illustrated covers, which is a very prestigious and recognized magazine. And you can see the difference in the covers, where men are presented like showing their skills, playing the sport that they love, whereas women are presented posing and smiling, like more to a beauty standard stereotype, which is not correct, because also women have the ability and the skill to show them in these covers. So going to the positive scenarios, which during this year especially, they have happened. So these are like examples of what we are looking forward to achieve. Starting off with the World Cup of 2023, the Soccer World Cup, which happened in New Zealand and Australia this past summer. There was more than 75,000 attendees in the Stadium Accor in Sydney. Also, one important fact was that the semifinals between Australia and England was the most watched show in Australia of all time. This is including comedy, including maybe entertainment, novels of any show. This was the most watched show in all history of Australia, showing that when there's this media coverage that I was talking about, when there's journalists talking about the topic, when there's videos in social media, when they really get the attention that they deserve, we can also achieve this revenue that people say that is not possible. For example, it generated $570 million, which is the second most of any event in sports history, second to the Males World Cup. Now, to another case, I would like to point this one out. EAFC 24, which was the newest game released by EA Sports. It was previously known as FIFA, and in this year's game, they decided to include women in the most popular game mode, which is Ultimate Team. So now you can play with both women in the same team. And I think this is very important because it is related to what I was talking about, that there's missing this media coverage and this like visibility to the sport. So I think this is like a very important point. And also to make it like balanced, what they did is the ratings of the female players are based against other women. So for example, Alexia Putellas, which was the previous Ballon d'Or winner, is the same rating as, for example, Kylian Mbappe. So both are 91 rated, and it's like balanced because, for example, if you want a player that is more agile or quicker and that, you will use a female. So it's balanced. It's not that many people have the idea that maybe male players will be better, but it is not like that. And I think that is the right way to do it because it's a balanced game, and also it includes the visibility in this game. So now, going into our strategy and how we plan to get this gender equality in sports, we'll have 6 steps, which I will go one by one. First of all, is the compromise. We are compromised to change our world. As I mentioned previously, I believe that we are the generation of change. We really have the initiative to change stuff that we perceive as wrong. So this is very important. And also sensibilization. This is focused on educating the new generations about this problem, because sometimes the older generations are very hard to change their opinion because they grew up they had a different upbringing. So it's very difficult to change their ideas. But the newer generations are the ones that will have the ideas that we establish on them. So I think that's the important part. And also part of this proposal is to guarantee equitable access to all women across the world. The idea is to work hand in hand with global leagues, for example, the Women NBA, the National Women's Soccer League, the English Premier League, leagues from all over the world, to guarantee that they have the same access to resources, to facilities, and to opportunities as male players does. Now on to the next part is the adaptability. We know that not every project goes well in the first time, so that's why we have the idea to be receptive with feedback, because we know that we may do some things wrong. Maybe we don't do them the best way possible. So we will be receptive with feedback to let people know, to let people tell us what we did maybe not so good. And also the impact and the evaluation. We will have on evaluation, we define some KPIs, which could be, for example, the TV growth in rating, or maybe the percentage difference in pay gap, and it will. So as I was mentioning, as I started with a phrase, I want to end up with another phrase that I found, which is change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past and present are certain to miss the future, which was mentioned by John F. Kennedy. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time and your attention, and remember that our future is in our hands.
Okay, so um, to have a great conclusion, we have some questions from the public, the last questions, which is the first one, and the second one is for Daniel and Camila. Can you please come? Daniel and Camila. Well, let's start with Daniel. Mafer Valdez asked, "We need to follow the same process if it is a little kid and does not comprehend yet."
Uh, well, I think if it's a little kid, it's a different process. Obviously, the kid has not developed these ideas yet, or has not developed them completely. So we should approach them in a more calm way, and considering considering that their children almost never have any concepts like gender inequality or that in their minds. So it's more easy to establish a good idea of what should be. So I think it's not the same process. It's very different. We can discuss it with him, but in a calm way and in a simple way for he to or for the little one to understand in a better way.
Well, there's also another question for you. It's what can I do to better myself and to give impact for the others?
Well, you can, as I mentioned, you can start to investigate. You can. The first thing you should do is to develop. Well, no, to darte cuenta of your own thoughts, of your own ideas, and how are they detrimental to this gender inequality. So you should know how you think. You should um, develop like an instinct to recognize that you're wrong and that you should change some aspects of your life, some behaviors of yourself, and then we can think of changing our environment, which is generally speaking, we can change it by changing ourselves, and then, as I said, discuss it with your friends, with your family, or with who can discuss it with you, and then you can change their ideas, and then you can change everything.
Thank you.
Well, so we'll go for next question. This one's for Ayatna. And the next one's gonna be for Ruby. Well, so the question is, what can be done in favor for equality for gender equality in workspace?
Okay. Specific in a workplace or academic fields, I think that the gender inequality is so present. We can see daily in our schools, in our works, in these academic fields where the women are in the lowest position of management, of executive works, in difference with the men that are in the highest position of whatever work that you can think or imagine.
Thank you.
This one is for Ruby. It's in Spanish, so I will ask in Spanish. It's ¿qué pasa si la persona no tiene interés en mejorar la comunicación?
Well, so if you remember, we have like 4 steps, and the just the third step, it's about to achieve this empathize and to achieve like these to make the other notice what you how do you feel. So well, it's like in the third step you have to, well, you don't have to, but with these techniques, what we think that is going to pass is that the other person are going to be like in the same channel as you, and are going to want to improve their relationship with you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we have a question from the public, which is from the coordinator of the human 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 dignity has a question. So I'm going to pass the microphone to her.
Is for Ari? No. Ari. Yes. I want to know, why did you choose November 10th for the celebration, and which activities do you suggest we can do here in campus for that day?
Yeah. Thank you so much for your question. It's an interesting question. I choose November 10 because November 10 was born Leonidas Amirescu, was born in Romania, who was the first woman study engineering degree in the world. In this date, November 10, I like to do activities for the reflective inequality and gender. For example, one of the good activities that we can do was to make a paper wall where you can paste as a woman, if you have any act when you suffer gender inequality in the school, in your home, in whatever place that you can think. It was a reflective activity that I consider it will be so important on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have another question for Ruby, which is, can you share me an advice to motivate my parents to go to therapy in order to help our relationship?
Yes, well, what I always say is not just family therapy, like in general. It's that there is no better help than the help of a professional. Why? Because they know exactly what they are doing, or what you need in your relationship. So always, like, the best option is to go to with a professional, because there is where you can really guarantee that your relationship are going to improve. So it's like so basic. The best help, it's professional help.
Thank you. And lastly, we have a question from Miguel. Can you come? Mafer Valdez asked, why did you choose this title for your presentation?
Well, Shion is a biblical name, which means wall of strength. So I think it was related to the topic because it's like a strength topic, how we can like break barriers in sports, in women's sports. So I thought it was like according to the topic.
Okay, thanks, Miguel.
And well, with that, if there's not any more questions, I would like to thank everyone for being here and for our wonderful expositors that came in front and gave us our topic. So that would be wrapping up our third day of the Jornada Estudiantil of Desarrollo Humano. And thank you all for coming. And tomorrow we're going to have our last day. It's also going to be talking about eradicating violence for women. So please be here, and well, thank you for everything.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.